Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me here on this Wednesday morning. Oh, goodness, lots to talk about news wise. If you are new here to the Coffee Chat, my name is Channing. I am a journalist and news anchor. And I do daily news updates every day here on TikTok, but I also go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, usually starting at 9:30. But I was a little late today because I don't know, something was wrong with my internet this morning. But anyways, lots to talk about this morning, including a lot of Trump stuff. As always, we have to talk about this new proposal for Gaza, of course, all of the issues that have gone on with the different tariffs that have been enacted and then have been put on pause. Also got to talk a little bit more about some of these confirmation hearings. We now officially have a new attorney general. And also got to talk about some NFL conspiracies, because apparently now the NFL is starting to weigh in on some of those conspiracy theories or alternate theories that a lot of people have had in regards to the Kansas City Chiefs and why they have continued winning as much as they have. So keep tapping that screen. Give me all of the likes that you possibly can. It's the best free way to support my live stream. Also consider giving me a follow as well. Like I said, I do these live news updates Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, and Sunday evenings as well. All right, and leave me your thoughts there in the comment section. You guys know I love hearing from you guys. So if there's something specifically that you want to talk about or know more about, let me know by leaving it there in the comment section, guys. All right, so first off, some of the big stories. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks so much. Thank you. And again, feel free to tap that screen because, like I said, it's just a free way of just supporting the stream. So I appreciate that. So first up, let's talk about Trump and Gaza, because this has been a big one over the last 24 hours or so, especially. So during a press conference overnight, the president, while sitting next to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump made a lot of claims, and one of the big ones was that the U.S. Will take over the Gaza Strip, and he said, quote, "and we will do a job with it too." So essentially, what the president is looking at doing is he wants to, what he says is, turn the Gaza Strip into a Riviera of the Middle East. He wants to somehow own this property, I guess, or the U.S. to own this property. But there's no real details. He hasn't come up with a specific plan and how he wants to do this, like what the U.S.'s role would be. He's even mentioned certain things as far as even moving the almost 2 million Palestinians out of the Gaza Strip and moving them to other countries. Now, Egypt and Jordan have already said they are absolutely against the removal of Palestinian people and relocating them to other countries in the immediate area. And actually, Saudi Arabia actually came out with a statement saying that they want some type of two-state system where the Palestinians have their own homeland and country. Let's see some of the comments. Some of the comments are so funny. This person, Truth Doctor, I'm like, I don't know what you're on this morning, but nobody said there was a problem with anything. I'm just stating the facts. Somebody's in their feels this morning. Maybe it's time for you to grab a cup of coffee. But one of the interesting things, of course, is, like I mentioned, is the fact that what he really wants to do with this is that the removal of these nearly 2 million Palestinian people and relocate them to other places. And like I said, the big deal with this is that, well, the other countries in the area are like, absolutely not. That's not what we want to do at all. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens. Like I said, he has not listed any type of plan because this is a new developing situation. So at this time, we don't know if this is really something that's actually going to come into fruition, or if this is something he's just kind of talking about and just maybe spitballing here, especially while he was talking to the Israeli Prime Minister. Another thing, though, that he also mentioned is that he's not ruling out deploying U.S. troops to support the reconstruction of Gaza. He actually said that he envisions a, quote, long-term U.S. ownership of a redevelopment of the territory. As far as what that looks like, again, he hasn't really said. These are all just things that he's said initially, but not really sure yet just exactly how all of this is going to be implemented. Just kind of have to wait and see with that one. In the meantime, though, like I mentioned at the very beginning, and I see a lot of new people joining. So, by the way, my name is Channing, journalist, and I do these news updates like this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. Go ahead and give me a follow and keep tapping that screen. I really appreciate it, everybody. Thank you. So now another one is that we do officially have a new Attorney General. Pam Bondi has been confirmed by the Senate in a 54-46 vote. Now, Pam Bondi was also the former Attorney General in Florida for 2 terms. We're still waiting to hear on the confirmation for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. specifically, he did get the Senate Finance Committee who advanced his nomination. However, a full Senate vote has not been scheduled just yet. He is up for that full Senate vote. From everything that I've seen, though, it looks like he will get confirmed, barring some last-minute Republican senator deciding not to vote for him. But from everything that I've seen, like this morning, I don't feel like that's going to happen. But like I mentioned, though, the full Senate vote has not been scheduled just yet. But the last time I looked was like at 7 a.m. Central Time. Other big news, though, and this is for all of my shoppers, because I know a lot of my viewers out there are really big shoppers. So yesterday, the U.S. Postal Service came out with guidance saying that they were actually going to be banning all incoming packages from China and from Hong Kong. Of course, this is due to President Trump's executive order that was going to enact 10% or did enact 10% tariffs on many, many Chinese goods. And in doing that executive order, it actually lifted an exemption on certain goods that came into the country that were worth under $800. So in doing so, if that had gone into effect and everything like that, he was going to, or I'm sorry, the U.S. government essentially was going to, or Postal Service was going to ban a lot of these packages from coming in. And we're talking about things like from Shein, Temu, all these different places. But now the USPS has decided that they're going to lift that ban, and the Trump administration actually lifted that exemption. So now, like, these packages will not be taxed like they thought they were going to be. The tariffs are still in place, though, the 10% tariffs, that hasn't changed at all. But it does mean that your packages that should be coming in from Shein, Temu, and from all these other different places should be okay. I saw a lot of people posting early this morning freaking out about some of their packages they were waiting for, and yeah, you should be fine. They just might be a little bit delayed. So yeah, it's really interesting to me because this did not really affect anything much. This ban was only in place for not even quite 24 hours from everything that I've seen. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting. Oh, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep tapping that screen too. Thank you so much for all the likes. I really appreciate it. I even appreciate the comments from the people who don't like me because, well, you're still sharing my content, so I don't care. Good morning, Maritza. What's up, girl? How's it going? So yeah, other interesting news though, of course, got to talk a little bit about the Department of Education because I know a lot of people have concerns with some of these budget cuts that the Trump administration is definitely looking at doing. They're looking at trying to cut a lot of the spending that we have had on the federal level. And one way that they want to do that is through the Department of Education. It's something that Trump actually ran on, and it's something that he is actually looking at doing. Now, he has not signed this executive order yet that would actually dissolve or change anything with the Department of Education. He has not done that yet, so that is worth noting. I know there are a lot of rumors going around, but he is still standing by his promise of closing the department. However, in doing so, that actually does take congressional action. Most of its spending and really the existence of the Department of Education in and of itself really does depend upon Congress quite a bit. So he will have to have some type of say from Congress as well. The last I looked is actually in some of the things that he has said in regards to the Department of Education. Essentially, he is asking for Congress to pass a law that would allow that to happen as well. So yeah, just really, really interesting stuff, of course, that is going on here. Let's see the comments, though. Trey, those 24 hours makes a difference. It definitely created delays. Oh, absolutely. Just talking about the USPS. Absolutely. So what Trey was mentioning, if you're just joining, of course, we were talking about the U.S. Postal Service banning packages coming in from China and Hong Kong for about 24 hours. As of this morning, they have rescinded that ban, so packages will be able to come in from China and Hong Kong. But you're absolutely right. It should have, we know that it's going to create quite a few delays for anybody who's expecting packages. The one good thing, I guess, with this ban is that it should not have affected any of your regular mail, your flat mail. That ban that they had for that about 24-hour period did not affect that. But yeah, for any other packages, like I said, if you were just doing some late night shopping on Shein, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know when or if you're ever going to see those packages. Oh, this is an interesting one. This is from Steph. 150 billion for student loans. They have to hold colleges accountable for charging people the crap out of education. Yes, talking about the Department of Education. Yes, that's a big one, and that's one of the big ones that Donald Trump has mentioned in talking about potentially doing away with the Department of Education, is really cracking down on the federal spending for a lot of these colleges, because, well, colleges can't charge all of this if they don't have access to all of this federal money as well. So yeah, it's just a really, really interesting time. Oh, thanks for all of the new follows. Thank you guys. Thank you for everybody who is just joining. My name is Channing. I am a journalist, former news anchor, and now I've kind of just branched out on my own. So I do live morning news updates 4 times a week. Sunday nights, Monday morning, Wednesday morning, and Friday morning as well. And I also do daily news updates on all of my platforms. You can follow me at Coffee Chat with Chan on, well, just about every social media platform out there. So let's get to kind of a fun story, because I feel like I always start with like hard news. And as always, leave me comments there in the comments section if you want to talk about something else, if you want to dive into something deeper, or if you just have opinions about something, because I love hearing your opinions. That's what I'm here for. Jennifer, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So one of, hopefully you guys are sports fans, because if you're not, I'm really sorry. I got my start in news actually by being a sports reporter. So sports, of course, is very near and dear to my heart. But we have to talk about this one, because the NFL actually, and the NFL referees are actually now responding to a lot of social media claims where fans have said for years that the Kansas City Chiefs get unfair treatment when it comes to referees calling games. So yeah, now this has been one that has been circulating on social media, like I said, for years. Oh, thank you, Courtney. Thank you. This has been a big one with sports fans, and especially with football fans, and especially people who are not fans of the Chiefs, of the Kansas City Chiefs, and saying that, well, yeah, the referees cheat for them, and that's why they have had this sudden dynasty. So now the NFL, Roger Goodell, and even the referees organization is speaking out and saying that no, they say, and I quote, "It's ridiculous to think that they're out to tilt any game in favor of one side or another." Their labor union that represents the referees came out on Tuesday just completely trying their best to obliterate any of these theories, essentially just calling people who believe that they would fix games stupid or dumb. Like, we don't remember the whole Donaghy scandal with the NBA. And if you're not familiar with the Donaghy scandal with the NBA, like, there was a ref out there with the NBA that was fixing games. That's a thing. It happened. So yeah, I'm not sure why the NFL thinks that people are stupid and that, no, we just don't believe that they would ever fix games in any way, shape, or form. We've all seen those NFL games. Like, anybody who's an NFL fan has seen games where they have had some incredibly questionable calls. You know, like, we've seen it. Like, come on, guys. Now, whether or not they're doing it for the take, I won't say, but it is worth noting, though, that NFL referees and NBA referees are actually graded on how they call games. And that's what allows certain refs to be able to referee, say, like the postseason games, the playoffs, and even like the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals. It's those grades that happen throughout the regular season. And so that's one of the things that the NFL Players Association talked about, and because they released a statement, the labor union released a statement. That's one of the things that they really talked about, was that, you know, because they're graded, there's no way that they could ever call a game incorrectly. But okay, y'all let me know what you think. I don't believe it for 1 second. I don't think that they're necessarily cheating just for the Chiefs. I do think, though, that there's a lot of, I think there are a lot of bad calls out there, and I think there's a reason for it. And I don't think that the prevalence of sports betting is helping that in any way, shape, or form. Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sports gambling is really, really big. I'm just saying. Maybe it's just me. You guys, like, y'all let me know, because maybe it's just me, but I don't think it is. I really don't. Let's see. Oh, yes, in the comments. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for all the follows, everybody. I see I have quite a few new people joining. So let me just say, reset real quick. My name is Channing. I am a journalist, former news anchor, and I do daily news updates on all my social media platforms under Coffee Chat with Chan. And I do these live daily news updates or live news updates Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. So yeah, give me a follow and please tap the screen. It's the easiest and free way to support me and to support this channel. I appreciate it so much. So yeah, just kind of resetting a little bit because like I said, I see a lot of new people joining this morning. We have to talk about Trump and Gaza. Of course, President Donald Trump has made a lot of statements in regards to the Gaza Strip and what he wants to do with the area and even the people in that area. And a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat, have a lot of feelings about it. Hey, good morning, Texas. Good morning. So yeah, this one's a lot. This one's a lot to break down. So bear with me here for just a little bit. So during a press conference that President Trump gave alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump said that the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip and, quote, we will do a job with it too. So one of the things that he proposed is that he wants to develop the land of the Gaza Strip and essentially really like take it over and develop it. Of course, like he made a lot of his fortune in real estate development. And he said that he wants to turn the Gaza Strip into a Riviera of the Middle East that's owned by the United States. However, he has made these statements. He hasn't given any updates in regards to just how he wants this to happen. No details on like how fast, nothing like that. But it is definitely like a statement that he made, and it kind of goes in hand with some of the other statements that he's made in regards to the Palestinian people. Of course, like he's also mentioned relocating the close to 2 million Palestinian people that live there in the Gaza Strip to other neighboring countries. And it's something that Egypt and Jordan have already said absolutely not to. They're like, no, we're not doing that in any way, shape, or form. And of course, other countries there in the region are worried about a rise in tensions. Of course, like we're in the middle of this ceasefire between Israel and Hamas that's happening right now. That's already on pretty shaky ground. And I can imagine other countries there in the region are very concerned about any escalations in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry came out and said that their longtime call for an independent Palestinian state was, quote, unwavering. So they are not going to sign on for anything that does not have a separate or an independent Palestinian state, which is a pretty big deal because, well, we do need allies in that region in order to do, well, pretty much anything. Now, what's interesting, though, is that Saudi Arabia has also been in negotiations with the U.S. over a deal to diplomatically recognize Israel in exchange for a security pact and other terms as well. So that's why I'm mentioning Saudi Arabia in this, like, as well. I normally just wouldn't. Courtney said such an outlandish statement. I mean, so a lot of people feel that exact same way. Several Democrats, of course, came out very quickly and just completely slammed what he was saying and said it was essentially just stealing land from people and forcing them into relocating into places where they don't want to go. And even some Republicans have really put forth some questions in regards to how this would happen. Lindsey Graham came out with a statement essentially questioning like how this would even work or why would even be a feasible thing. So yeah, it's really interesting. Like I said, it was both sides of the aisle that came out and were just like, wait, what? How are we going to do this? I don't think we can do that. So yes. I do think it was a very interesting move to make, and I'm looking forward to reading more up on it because, again, like this just happened within the last, 12, 14 hours or so, to just figure out like exactly why and how he wants to do this and go about doing this. Now, another thing, though, President Trump also said that he is not ruling out deploying U.S. troops to support reconstruction in Gaza. And he even said that he envisions a long-term U.S. ownership of a redevelopment of the territory. And again, like he's making these statements, but he hasn't given any details in regards to how he foresees the U.S. In any way, shape, or form owning this or redeveloping it or anything like that. These are just initial statements. So yes, it's interesting. I think it's interesting. You let me know your thoughts. I mean, like I said, it's a very complicated and complex issue. No question about that. I do just find it interesting with these statements, and that's kind of his method of thinking is maybe that we redevelop Gaza. He did say that, he wants to go back in and fix everything, of course, like all of the buildings that have been destroyed, the homes, all of that nature, and essentially bulldoze it and start from scratch and just build everything up all shiny and new. So yeah, but I can imagine a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about that, so let me know what you think by leaving your thoughts there in the comment section. And as always, though, leave your thoughts in the comment section because I love knowing what you guys think, because that's what I want to know. Other big news, though, happening politically. Pam Bondi has now been confirmed as the Attorney General. She was confirmed in a 54-46 vote. Of course, she was Florida's Attorney General for about 2 terms before now being the Attorney General for the United States. We're also waiting for the full Senate vote on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Of course, he is President Trump's pick to head up the Health and Human Services Department. Of course, that's what oversees the FDA, the CDC. So many different agencies fall under that umbrella as well. Now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did pass the Senate Finance Committee's vote. He did get the vote from them. Now it has to go to a full Senate vote. They haven't scheduled that just yet, at least from what I saw this morning. But as soon as they do schedule something, I'll let you guys know. Of course, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Made a lot of headlines because of his stances on things like, abortion, on vaccines, clinical trials, things of that nature. However, he also made headlines, too, for his stance on the U.S. food supply. And during day 1 of his confirmation hearing, because he had 2, he actually mentioned that the U.S. food supply, or fixing the U.S. food supply, would be his number 1 topic. His number 1 thing that he would like to tackle as soon as he gets in office or soon as he gets confirmed. He was a big supporter of banning red dye number 3. He also wants to ban other things like red dye 40, a lot of the ingredients and preservatives that we allow in U.S. foods that are banned in other countries. He's been a very big proponent of that for years and years and years. So there's a lot of conflicting ideologies with people who are for and against him, right? So yeah, it's pretty interesting, I guess. Let's see. Ooh, Courtney's saying Robert RFK is so dangerous in this position. I've seen a lot of people say that. I've seen a lot of people say that they believe that exact same thing. So you're not alone in that sentiment. He also said, like, these Republicans did listen to Michelle Obama on health and food. No, that's also very true. Like, she also tried to push very similar things in, like, healthy food options as well. She was a big proponent, of course, of more healthy foods in schools and, especially like with school lunches and things of that nature. So yeah, very, very interesting points there. Points are made. Listen, points are made. Okay. And so another person saying, I'm so excited to see what RFK will do to help us get healthy again. Absolutely. Because like I mentioned, he also has made a lot of comments in regards to food. And I mean, this is long before he was ever up to be the director of Health and Human Services. He's made videos and comments for years about the U.S. food supply and the types of preservatives we allow in our foods, the ingredients that we allow in our food that are not in any way, shape, or form found in nature. They're usually created in some type of lab. However, other countries don't use them. And when you find the same product, like, I don't know, a Lay's potato chip bag here in the United States, it has completely separate ingredients in the bags that are sold here as opposed to the bags that are sold in, say, Europe. It's really interesting to me. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. More likely than not, though, it looks like RFK will be confirmed, just the way the votes are set up and the way the people who were on the fence for him. There were just a couple of people, Republicans, who said they were on the fence. It looks like they're now on board with confirming him. And again, for all of these confirmation hearings, you just need a simple majority in order to get confirmed, meaning you only need 51 votes. And of course, J.D. Vance, vice president, has that tie-breaking vote if it is needed. So yeah, more likely than not, he's probably going to be heading up the Health and Human Services. Oh, Adelina, getting us on par with the EU food bans would be a great thing, though. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, yeah, I could not agree more with that. Like, I always say this on here. I'm not very big on giving my own opinions, but that is one that I think a lot of us can agree with, is just that, like, our food is trash. Like, our food is trash. The things that we allow in our food, from everything from just your basic, just household items like snack bars, things of that nature, to even the ingredients we allow in our fast food products, yeah, they're absolutely abysmal. And you go to any other country, just about, like, it's a completely different ball game. I have a really good friend who has to be completely gluten free here in the United States. She moved to actually just outside of London and has not had an issue with bread since. And it's because of what we allow in, like, our flour and our bread flour specifically, and even in a lot of our bread products. And it's not just bread, for sure. Like, there's a lot of different foods that we have a lot of ingredients in there that aren't actually food-based products. It's kind of crazy. Just reading the comments here. Sorry. Ooh, y'all are getting spicy in the comments. Ooh. Oh, let's see. Let me make sure, because I am multi-streaming, so I'm sorry. I don't want to forget about you guys. Let's see. Oh, this is a good question. This is from somebody saying, sounds like a good thing. Of course, we're talking now about the Gaza Strip and Trump's proposal and taking over the Gaza Strip and redeveloping it. They said, as someone who does not have too much knowledge about Gaza, saves lives, it cleans up the mess, supports them to become a proper sovereign democratic nation under U.S. supervision. The only issue, the U.S. tried that a lot of times, and is there an example where that ever worked? Not that I can think of. Not that I can think of. I think oh, Valerie, thank you so much. Thank you. I agree with you. I think it does. There are a lot of points that sound like a good idea in theory. As far as in practice, I'm with you. I'm not entirely sure of a time when we have done that and it's actually worked out well. And I think that's where a lot of the concern comes in. Also, the concern does come in, and, like, it's very colonizing of us, and we're and going in and telling people, like, hey, we're gonna go and take over your land and we're gonna fix it, but y'all gotta get out. You know what I mean? So, and that's where I think a lot of the contention with this comes in. Absolutely. But no, great question. Absolutely. I love that. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Oh my gosh. And thank you guys for all of the likes. Thank you for all of the likes and the follows. I appreciate you so very much. I see some new people joining, so let me just take some time. My name is Channing. I'm a journalist and now a freelancer, former news anchor. And so, yeah, I go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings to talk more about news and everything like that. I love when people get spicy in the comments. Somebody says, like, you cackle like Kamala. You mean I laugh? Because I'm a human? Okay. Big Kev says, why are the Democrats so scared to show us where they spend our money? I don't know. You'd have to ask them, I guess. I'm not, I think I understand exactly, like, what you're saying, though. So, of course, one of the big talkers right now is Elon Musk being over Doge, of course, and that's the new Department of Government Accountability, essentially, that's supposed to be looking over budget issues and federal spending. And that's where a lot of these cuts are coming in, especially when we're talking about things like U.S. aid, when we're talking about even the Department of Education, all of these different big budget spending items. And yes, there has been a lot of contention with a lot of Democrats saying that they do not like a non-elected official being able to look at all of these documents and being able to see not only just the budget, but have access to a lot of these previously, not necessarily classified, but I don't know, just, I guess, items that were more just privy to people who had been either elected officials or were official staffers, which he is not. He's working under, like, a exempt status right now. But however, the White House did come out and say that Elon Musk and Doge are only privy to read-only copies of, like, U.S. Treasury documents, things like that. They can't go in and actually change the budget or anything of that nature. But I do think it's a very interesting thing that there's so much gatekeeping with this. Maybe it's just me, but I personally think that everybody should have access. Every taxpayer in this country should have access to see exactly where all of our money is going and what we're spending it on. I think that should be, it shouldn't even be an open records request. It should just be something that we're privy to, but, that's just my personal belief, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Let's see. Democrats and Republicans should want this investigated and want to know where the money went. Now, I definitely agree with that. I definitely think that, So Chan, you're so certain things are available on certain sites. Yes, like there's a lot that you can see, but there's also a lot that we cannot see. There are a lot of big budget items, like, and I just know because I've had to FOIA request them, and it's almost impossible to get certain budget line items. So yeah, like, but I do think that we should, as taxpayers, as the people who are funding our government, we should be privy to more of that information. I definitely think so. And Courtney, you were absolutely right that Doge will be sued and challenged in federal court. There are already several different civil rights organizations that have said that they are in the process of filing different types of litigation against them. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. Hannah says, definitely think we should see those receipts with the amount of access he has and the way he got it. And I think that's why a lot of people have problems with it, and especially with Elon Musk specifically having access to this. I mean, it does make a lot of people feel a certain type of way knowing that, well, the richest man in the world does have access to all of this information. He hasn't been elected or anything like that. So I do see that. But on the opposite side, a lot of people are saying, well, wouldn't you want the richest man in the world to be overseeing your budget? So, like I said, two sides to the issue for sure. Absolutely. I think it's very interesting. I think it's a fascinating, it's really a fascinating topic, I think. Maybe it's just me. Let's see. Chan says they need to be sued. It's strange that he's able to do this. Oh yeah, they're going to be. I think a lot of these executive orders and actions that President Trump is doing are already under litigation, or already at least being talked about being sued for. So it's a lot, I guess. I think that's a lot. Oh, sorry, just reading through all the comments. Any discussion about the administration wanting to dismantle the Department of Education? Great question. So yes. So now this is not official. Donald Trump has not signed an executive order that would ban or just outlaw the Department of Education at this time. However, he did run, he had a lot of campaign promises in regards to closing the Department of Education. However, like I said, he has not signed anything just yet. Now, per the Associated Press, I just read this one this morning, his promise, of course, to close the Department of Education is something that he continues to reiterate in a lot of different speeches. However, it is worth noting that he can't really do that with an executive order. It's kind of one of those things like similar to ending birthright citizenship. Because Congress actually has a lot of the controlling power over the Department of Education, and including its existence and its spending and how it spends money and how it takes money. So yeah, it's kind of a convoluted issue. Now, Linda McMahon, who is, of course, Trump's pick to be the Secretary of Education, one of the things he has said in regards to her is he said he wants her to put herself out of a job. So he wants to do, at the very least, if he does not dismantle the Department of Education, he does want to do big, huge budget cuts to the entire department. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting thing. And now it is worth noting, because I've seen this a lot on social media, people talking about, what the role of the Department of Education is. The Department of Education does not, and by and large, only does stuff with student loans and student aid. It mostly deals with money. It doesn't really have anything to do with like your primary or secondary education, like on the state level. That's actually usually run by the state. The Department of Education really more so deals with money, and in regards to federal financial aid, whether that is through grants and loans. That's really their purpose and their functionality. So one of the proposals that I've seen is that he wants to kind of dismantle the Department of Education and give more power to, say, the U.S. Treasury or to other departments, things of that nature. And it is worth noting, and I know this one because I used to work in higher ed, schools actually, for example, higher education schools don't really need the U.S. Department of Education. They don't really serve a huge purpose other than they kind of help schools like with auditing purposes. But yeah, even from a higher education standpoint, they don't deal with anything in regards to curriculum or anything like that. So they easily could, from that monetary standpoint, you could easily just give it to the U.S. Treasury or something of that nature. You really could. Because schools actually pull financial aid, whether that's grants or loans, directly from the U.S. Treasury. The Department of Education is really almost just like a third-party servicer. So yeah, it's really interesting. And most people do not know that unless you have worked in financial aid for a higher education institution. But yeah, in regards to primary and secondary education, that's mostly handled through states and then through your actual school boards. Like curriculum is more so done by on the state level, and then the local level does a lot as well. So yeah, like it's mostly a monetary thing. I think a lot of people are thinking like, oh, well, it's gonna change like schools and all this kind of stuff. Not necessarily. Deisha Barnes says, what about student loans? What do you mean exactly? I'm sorry. Expand a little bit more. I'm so sorry. So yeah, like I said, it's a really interesting one. Some other government agency will still control the money, Courtney. Probably, but so here's the thing. It's really interesting. Like I said, no one actually does. So like when schools actually pull, like say a student's financial aid, whether that's grants or loans, they're pulling it from the U.S. Treasury. It's a system that they go through to actually pull that money directly from the U.S. Treasury. That's what I'm saying. Like the U.S. Department of Education in that regard really just acts like a servicer or third party system. They just kind of help, but not really, because like there are also other systems. So from that standpoint, I could see you doing away with that portion of the Department of Education. Oh, so Deisha, well, we still have to pay them. Yes, because so here's the thing. Because student loans are really interesting. So your student loans are actually back. Typically, if you have a federal student loan, that's actually taken, like I said, from the U.S. Treasury. That's a loan from the U.S. government. And then you have a servicer who is the one who is supposed to be calling you and setting up payment plans, all that kind of stuff. It's not their money or anything like that. So bottom line is, yes, you're going to pay back the government their money. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, no, we moved, we changed systems. There's no more U.S. Department of Education. You don't have to pay this back. Nah, girl, they coming for their money. Every time. If there is one thing I think we can all agree with when it comes to the U.S. government, they are always going to get their money. They're always. As far as no more forgiveness, probably not. Probably not. I don't foresee any type of forgiveness happening. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it stopped. I you know what I mean? Like I think, yeah. I don't think so. And so I see somebody saying as they shouldn't be on taxpayers to pay for your education. It's not. And again, as somebody who worked in financial aid, if they forgave student loans, has nothing to do with taxpayers. Like you could easily like wipe out everybody's student loan debts. It would do nothing for taxpayers because like I said, that money is drawn directly from the U.S. from the U.S. Treasury. It doesn't affect taxpayers in one way, shape, or form. And I know there's a lot of misinformation about that. And that's not even a party thing or anything like that. That those are just facts. Again, like that's somebody, like I worked in financial aid for quite some time. And so yeah, definitely. Oh, good morning, Juanita. Good morning. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for everybody for joining this morning. I really appreciate it, guys. Again, my name is Channing, journalist, former news anchor, and now, yeah, I just kind of go live on social media because, well, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? It's a lot of fun just having this back and forth conversation. Please keep tapping your screen because I appreciate it. All those likes. It's just a free way to support me. I really do appreciate it. Oh, thank you guys. I love that. Yes. And keep the comments coming because like I want to know what you guys want to know and what you want to talk about. Absolutely. And let me make sure I'm looking at my other streams too because I am notoriously terrible. So if anybody's interested, I'm not just streaming on TikTok if you can't tell because I'm looking all over the place. I'm also on YouTube and Twitch as well. So I really appreciate it. Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. Yeah, I feel like Channing is far more of a boy name. I don't know what my mom was thinking. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But it worked out really well for me when I worked in sports because people like saw the name and they thought I was a guy. So it was kind of nice for a while, I guess. Speaking of sports, though, I got to talk about this one because this is one of like my favorite stories. So if you are an NFL fan, you're going to like this one. If you are not, I'm sorry, bear with me for just 1 second. So the NFL Referees Union and Association came out on Tuesday with a statement essentially blasting everyone on social media who has ever questioned whether or not referees get paid to throw a game or to call a bad call. And this is all in response to a lot of people claiming over the years that the Kansas City Chiefs have gotten unfair treatment when it comes to the referees. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs have had a historic run when it comes to all of these Super Bowl championships and Super Bowl appearances. And it is worth noting that in their 20 postseason games, Kansas City has been assessed more penalty yardage than their opposing team just 3 times. And because of that, that's led to a lot of people online, well, rightfully claiming that the referees are not calling the Kansas City Chiefs games fairly. So now the referees have come out and said, well, no, that's not true. It's not true at all. Like, it is not true. We would never do that. It's like they completely forgot about the Donaghy scandal in the NBA. Like, it's a thing. Like, we know that these things have happened before in other sports, and somehow they want us to believe that it has never happened in the NFL. In the memo or the statement that the Referees Association sent out, it's pretty interesting. They're almost just calling people who believe in this stupid and saying that their conspiracy theories are unfounded and ridiculous, and that NFL officials are doing everything possible to make the right call on every play. It is also worth noting that NFL officials and NBA officials are actually graded on their performance. So in the regular season, they actually get a grade or a ranking on how well they did and how accurately they called a game. And that's what determines who is allowed to referee a game in the postseason. And especially when it comes to, say, like the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals. And that's the argument that they're using to say, well, you know, because we're graded, well, no, absolutely not. There's no way in the world that we would ever be cheating or miscalling a game intentionally. I'm like, I don't, it's kind of weird, but okay. Like, I don't believe it for 1 second. Like, I don't know. Like, it just sounds dumb to me. Like I said, like, I started off as a sports reporter and I've seen a lot and I've covered it a lot. And just with the rise of sports betting, I'd be willing to take that bet that they are miscalling games intentionally. Absolutely. Like, yeah, no. Let's see. Trump administration dismantling Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Thoughts on that? Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull something up on that. Because I want to make sure that I'm saying the latest, because the last of what I read, oh, okay, with like the changes underway. So I have some mixed opinions on this one. So essentially, the new U.S. Treasury Secretary, who of course just took over this week, he's essentially halted all pending activities with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, including any investigations, any rulemaking, litigation, and public communications. Now, I think it comes, of course, as an interesting time. Like we mentioned, Trump and the Trump administration are doing a lot to doing budget cuts and everything like that. So I'm not surprised, not even a little bit by this. However, what is interesting is now the employers of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau have been told to stop all activities, essentially with any investigations or anything that they're doing. I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of feelings about this one. I think it's been slightly, I guess it's not as big of a topic like nationwide as, say, like Department of Education is and, say, USAID for whatever reason. So I think this one is probably the bigger one that more people should be concerned about, but for whatever reason, they're just not. But that's just me. Let's see. Oh. Uh-oh. How doesn't that involve taxpayers? I don't know what you're asking. Sorry. Oh no, Linda. Let's see. Oh, Alexandra, what about what he said about the Gaza Strip? Great question. So one of this one was actually just came out not too long ago. So, while addressing the media with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Trump said that the U.S., or he would like the U.S. to take over the Gaza Strip and essentially to redevelop it, essentially to clear out all of the destruction, all of the debris, bulldoze that on out of there, and redevelop it. Of course, Donald Trump has made his fortune as a real estate developer. And he also claimed that he wants to redevelop the land into a Riviera of the Middle East that would be owned by the U.S. However, he didn't really give a lot of details on in regards to how that would happen. Of course, like just speaking to the press. He's also previously said that he would like to relocate the nearly 2 million Palestinians that are currently living there in the Gaza Strip, or at least call the Gaza Strip home. However, other countries within the region have said absolutely not. You are not relocating these people to our countries. Mostly Egypt and Jordan sent out a statement last week, I believe, saying that no, they're not okay with that. They are not going to be okay with that. And Saudi Arabia has actually come out with a statement saying that their longtime call for an independent Palestinian state is unwavering. And of course, the U.S. and Saudi Arabia have been in ongoing negotiations over how to diplomatically recognize Israel in exchange for like a security pact and some other terms as well. So we don't really want to piss them off at this time while we're in the midst of doing all of that. And of course, this also comes during this ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, which is already on shaky ground as well. So a lot of the other countries there in that Middle East region are a little concerned that this could possibly escalate things. So yeah, I think people are just trying to taper everything down right now. Now, Trump also said, though, that he's not ruling out deploying U.S. troops to Gaza to support this reconstruction and the reconstruction efforts, essentially saying that he envisions a long-term U.S. ownership of a redevelopment of the territory. So yeah, I think that's a lot. I think there would be a lot of facets to that. I don't think that's something that could be a short-term fix, and I think it would cause a lot of uproar in that region for sure, especially with so many countries already speaking out and being against it. I don't know if that's going to be one that he's going to actually be able to pull off without the support of at least one or two other countries. I don't think that's something that we can maintain at this time. Just the way the instability is already happening in that region right now. I just don't see that's happening. Let's see. I hope that answered your question, though. Sorry. After Canada agreed to several steps, he still insults them with the 51st state nonsense. Oh, so no, that's a good one. So we can talk a little bit about tariffs, of course. We can talk about tariffs. So, of course, there is that 30-day pause on tariffs for Mexico and Canada after the Mexican president and the Canadian prime minister said that they would do more in securing the border. The Mexican president is sending some 10,000 National Guard troops to the U.S.-Mexico border, and the Canadian government said that they are doing a $1.3 billion spending package in securing the Canadian border as well. One of the things Donald Trump said in enacting these tariffs was to curb the rise in illegal immigration from these countries and to curb the fentanyl crisis and stopping fentanyl from coming into the U.S. from these borders. So with them, both countries agreeing to that, he decided to put a pause on the tariffs, the 25% tariffs that were set to go into effect with this. The 10% tariffs on China are still in effect. Those went into effect yesterday. In response to that, for about a day, the U.S. Postal Service actually was banning packages coming in from China and from Hong Kong. They've since reversed that ban. I saw a lot of people on social media really upset about like their Shein or Temu packages coming in. They're probably going to be real late, just to be honest. I can imagine there was a bit of a backlog that now the U.S. Postal Service has to go through, if they go through them at all. I don't know. We'll just have to, I guess, see exactly what that ban, how that affected parcel deliveries at this time. Oh, Lainey, thank you so much. No problem. I love doing these live news updates, and I love answering questions. And listen, if I do not know something, I'm gonna find out, and I'm totally okay saying I do not know something. Doesn't Mexico and Canada already have troops on the border? So they have their own like customs and border agents for sure. What President Sheinbaum in Mexico is doing is sending actual National Guard troops, additional ones like 10,000, essentially reinforcing, adding more troops. Canada, I didn't really read over their plan. I know they're doing something more with with more border agents or something like that. But I just remember like the monetary amount actually. But yeah, they already have definitely like border security. They're just essentially it's ramping it up. If that answers everything. And yes, I forgot Courtney. So yes, right after then though, of course, like after saying that he's going to pause all of this, then yes, Trump did make another comment about saying that Canada would be our 51st state. I don't see them going for that, but you know, never say never. And yes, it would be absolutely wild, but no, I don't think that one's actually going to happen. I think that's more of him just kind of throwing a dig at Justin Trudeau, because Justin Trudeau was talking a lot of noise about how they weren't going to cave, that they weren't going to essentially like bend the knee to Donald Trump, and then they ended up doing it. So I think that was just another like little dig at Trudeau specifically. Any insight on Elon Musk? What is he really doing? Now, as far as what he's really doing, that I don't know. I really don't. I know what I've read that he's doing. Courtney, you're hilarious. I love your comments. So as far as what he's doing, of course, now he's causing a lot of controversy, and depending upon which side of the aisle you're on, depends on how you feel about him, definitely. So of course, Elon Musk is heading up DOGE, the new department under the Trump administration that is there essentially to look at how much we are overspending in the federal government and to try and cut and eliminate waste. He's looking at a lot of different departments, a lot of different people's budgets, and that is ruffling a lot of feathers. However, the White House has said that he really only has read-only access in regards to, say, U.S. Treasury items. Like, he can't go in and actually change the budget himself or do anything like that, but he is able to do these kind of grand audits. Of course, one of the big ones that he is looking at cutting, and they are already cutting, is U.S. aid. That's actually a department that was created by executive order under President Kennedy. However, Congress did pass a law just, a kind of expanding on that and expanding on the rights. So in order to completely do away with a lot of our foreign aid policies of that nature and a lot of our foreign aid spending, there would have to be some type of congressional law passed as well. But essentially what Elon Musk is doing is auditing. Like, I think it's I don't know what he calls what he's doing, but essentially that's what he's doing, is going in and auditing all of these different governmental departments and seeing what we can cut and how we can cut it. But like I said, that's causing a lot of problems from both sides of the aisle, like Republicans and Democrats alike, who are saying, well, why does this person who wasn't elected have access to all of this information, and why is he allowed to do this? On the flip side of things, a lot of people are saying, well, somebody needed to look at it. So yeah, I think it's kind of a mixed bag for sure. It just depends on what you think. I want to know what you think. Do you think that should he be looking at all of these budget items? Should he have this kind of power? You let me know. Mr. Don't Play, thank you so much. Thank you. You're so sweet. I appreciate that. Are they really trying to do away with the VA? Now, that's a good one. Let's see what the latest is on that. So from everything I've read, sorry, I'm typing real quick. So here's the thing, and it depends on what you believe. If you listen to Project 2025, right, there's, according to the Veterans Healthcare Policy Institute, they are trying to cut a lot of spending. Now, the VA did end their diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, which that's across the board federally. That was actually through a Trump executive order where he demanded that all federal departments end their DEI programs and policies, and of course, pretty much like lay off all their workers that work in DEI. And I feel like I have to say this every single time, but in case you don't know, DEI is not affirmative action. Two totally different things. So when they're saying that they're laying off all these DEI employees, that means employees who worked in the diversity, equity, and inclusion department, not employees who were hired because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. two totally different things. And I see people like using the terms interchangeably, and it just grinds my gears. Oh my gosh. Oh, Faith, hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Eliana, good morning, guys, and good morning. What's going on, everybody? So yeah, it's, I think it's crazy. I mean, yeah, like, so there's a lot, like, I don't think he said anything specifically yet in regards to just huge budget cuts to Veterans Affairs. There have been a lot, from what I see, just a lot of talk about it. So, okay. I just saw that actually alert come down for me too regarding the federal judge blocking Trump's birthright citizenship restrictions. So if you weren't familiar, President Trump did an executive order that would stop the birthright citizenship. Of course, that is birthright citizenship, meaning that somebody who was born here in America, regardless of your parent citizenship status, that means, you are a citizen. So Trump's executive order would effectively have done away with that and saying that no, like, we need more to this. Now, it is worth noting, though, the birthright citizenship is a part of the U.S. Constitution. It's actually the 14th Amendment. And it was enacted, it passed and amended because of slavery. It was a way to give former slaves and their children U.S. citizenship because before they were not considered citizens. So that's why it's a big deal and why a lot of people were, absolutely against all of this. I'm trying to see if I can get the latest here. So yes, it looks like a U.S. district judge or federal judge actually just issued an injunction on the lawsuit that was brought by several civil rights groups, including the ACLU. Several civil rights groups have said that they would be suing, and they already have, obviously. So this judge just issued a nationwide preliminary injunction against this executive order. They heard arguments earlier this morning, and that actually was brought by 5 pregnant women, undocumented women, which I think is really, really interesting. So that's where this whole injunction on this actually comes from. So now a nationwide injunction is in place. Now this comes after a federal judge out of Seattle had already instituted a partial ban for a time. I think that ban was in effect for about a week or so. So now this is going to play out in court. At this time now, it's been put on hold. It looks like indefinitely while it plays out. But this is an interesting one. I think most people thought that this is exactly what was going to happen. Yeah, Courtney, I used to follow both of them too. I'm not a big fan of some of their partisanship, though. They tend to be a little bit more partisan. But they do give good news updates, though. That's for sure. Let's see. Did I hear about what he said? Eliana, yes. How is the aid freeze affecting the Ukraine war? Did you hear what he said about Gaza? Oh, yes. These are great questions. I love you guys. These are awesome. So that's a great question. We're going to have to wait and see exactly what the impacts are. But with the freeze to several different departments, especially like USAID and other entities as well, with this federal foreign aid freeze, essentially, it will impact the war in Ukraine, and it will impact a lot of the humanitarian efforts that we have helped fund. Now, it is really interesting. I had to do a little bit of digging on this one, but the United States is actually the largest humanitarian donor by far in the world. So in cutting our federal funding to spending for our foreign aid spending specifically, it ends a lot of our programs, including there in Ukraine, our foreign aid health programs that helping with the AIDS and HIV epidemic in Africa, different vaccine trials, things of that nature. So yeah, there's a big impact. We just haven't seen all of the fallout from it yet. Not at this time. Oh, Hannah, good question. What sources do you suggest for unbiased news, if it exists? Yes, it definitely exists. So I'm a local news girly. I came up the ranks in local news. I believe in local news by and far. Your best outlet for things that are going on around you are your local news channels. Though by far your best. For national news, For national news and for global news, it really depends on the situation. Normally, what I do is I read about 3 or 4 different news sources. I usually start, if it's about something here in the US, I usually start with the Associated Press. I then go to Reuters, and then based on the story, I'll go somewhere else. USA Today, absolutely not. USA Today, no, not them. Politico, they tend to be a little bit more left leaning, depending upon what it is. But also, if it is, like I said, it really just depends. Like, for example, if you want to know something about like what's happening like with the war in Gaza, yeah, you could go to Al Jazeera, but they have their own bias as well. So then you also need to read the flip side, and you need to go to one of the Israeli state media websites to see what they're saying. It's a lot. And Eliana, you're funny. Channing might be a conservative. I always tell people, I dislike both sides equally. I'm not either. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I dislike everybody. I dislike everyone. But like that also tends to happen working in news, because you see both sides' political sway 100%. I do not like either side. I don't like either side, especially when it comes to media using their audience and swaying stories. Like when you work in news as long as I have, and you see ABC News report a story one way and you see Fox News report a story another way, and you know what actually really happened is somewhere in the middle, you won't like either side either. So yeah. No, I will never join either side. No, absolutely not. No, I'm not. Like, yeah, I if I were to register as anybody, it'd probably be an independent, maybe. But yeah, and I think that maybe that's just why I think, like, I agree. Like, I don't like politicians. I will agree with certain things that they stand for, but I don't ever just wholeheartedly like support a candidate, because very rarely do you agree with everything what person says, right? Like, no, absolutely not. But yeah, that's just me, and that's just me though. Like, and I like people on both sides. Like, I have family members who are very, very right, and I have family members who are very, very left, and it is what it is. But like, that's why I also do these live conversations, because I feel like that's what's missing in our world, is like, we can no longer have disagreements. We can no longer have a person on the far right and the far left come together and just agree to disagree. So, and I think we need to go back to that, because at the end of the day, we all agree that they're all corrupt, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, no, Eliana, no, stop it. You are great. No, I love these conversations. These are awesome. And yes, Courtney, nuance is often missing. Absolutely. I think sometimes like we get just so enamored with, like, I don't know, with whatever is popular at that time, and we just fall victim to whatever is like the political trend at that time. And I just, like, so maybe it's just me. But like I said, that's just how I think of things. Well, guys, I guess that's all for me today. I really appreciate the conversation. This was awesome. I absolutely love these chats with everybody. You guys, I love y'all. Be sure to join me back here Friday morning at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. I'm going to try and be on time this time. I don't know what was going on with my internet this morning. And if you're not already, make sure that you're following me, not just here on TikTok, but also on YouTube, Twitch, all the meta platforms. Coffee Chat with Chan. Y'all have a great day, everyone.